So Vidura had inquired about who are those Prachetas? Whose sons are they? In whose family did they become famous? He asked about the Prachetas. Then Vidura asked this question. Then, in order to answer the question of Vidura, Maitreya Rishi begins narrating the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. The Prachetas come in the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, but they come much later. So Maitreya Rishi begins describing from the immediate dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj's son is Utkala, but Utkala, right from the birth, he was not at all interested in the kingdom. And he saw the entire world he saw the Supreme Lord pervading everything in the world, in the whole world within the Lord. So Utkala had the vision of a Mahabhagavata right from the beginning. So when such a Mahabhagavata devotee, he cannot perform the role of ruling the kingdom, because for ruling the kingdom, one has to be in the role of a Madhyamadhikari. He has to discriminate. He has to give punishment to somebody like that. So somebody who is in a Uttamadhikari Mahabhagavata platform, he cannot perform the role of ruling a kingdom. So even in the Bhagavatam 5th canto, it is explained that Priyavrata Maharaj was also in the Mahabhagavata platform. But he came down from the Mahabhagavata platform to the platform of a Madhyamadhikari for the purpose of ruling the kingdom. A Uttamadhikari also comes down to the Madhyamadhikari platform for the sake of preaching. Because Uttamadhikari sees that everyone is a devotee except him. So therefore, he doesn't feel the need to preach only. So for preaching, one has to discriminate. So therefore, one has to be a Madhyamadhikari. So the vision of Utkala is described further. So somebody can repeat. Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam
Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam
Pratyasthamita Vigraham
Pratyasthamita Vigraham
Avabhodara Saikatmyam
Avabodhara Saikatmyam
Anandamanu Santatam
Anandam Anusantatam
Avyavachinna Yogagni
Avyavachinna Yogadhi
Dagda Karma Malashayah
Dagdha Karma Malashayah
Swarupamavarundano
Svarupama Avarundhano
Natmanonyam Tadaikshata.
Natmanonyam Tadaikshata. Translation. By expansion of his knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, he had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as Nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss and he continued always in that blissful existence which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga, which is compared to fire because it burns away all dirty material things. He was always situated in his constitutional position of self realization and he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord and himself engaged in discharging devotional service.
So we can see that in this shloka, Utkala, his vision is described further. Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam, realizing the Jivatma as the Brahman, means qualitatively one with the Brahman. Pratyastha Pratyasthamita Vigraham. Realizing the Jivatma as Brahman, which was peaceful, devoid of argument, pure knowledge, bliss, and all pervading. So the characteristics of the Brahman are described. What are the characteristics? The characteristics are described as Nirvanam. Nirvana means peaceful, tranquility. And the next characteristic is that Pratyastha Mita Vigraham. That means devoid of argument. So all kinds of contradictions are resolved. And third is that Avabodha Rasa Rasaikatnyam. That means pure knowledge. Anandam, bliss, and Anusantatam, all pervading. So you realize the Jivatma as Brahman having these qualities. And Avyavachinna Yogagni Dagda Karma Malashayaha. Avyavachinna Yoga, that means by the continuous fire of Bhakti Yoga, by the continuous fire of yoga, Dagda Karma Malashaya, he burnt up all the contamination of karma in his heart. Swarupam avarundano natmanonyam tadaikshata. Utkala saw nothing except the pure Atma. Na Atmano anyan tada aikshata. Atmano anyam na aikshata. Utkala saw nothing except the pure Jiva. So, so Utkala knew the Swarupa of the Jiva as Brahman, tranquility, devoid of argument. And it was completely one with the essence of knowledge. It was pure knowledge, avabodha rasaikatmyam. Utkala's heart had completely burnt up all the contaminations. So according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, uh, so this particular word, you see that second line, Pratyastha Mita Vigraham. Pratyastha Mita Vigraham means devoid of argument. So oftentimes even a practitioner becomes confused with the different contradictions. Sometimes arguments come, different confusions come. But when a person reaches an advanced stage, all kinds of contradictions are resolved. He doesn't have any more confusion, no more arguments. There is a beautiful verse in glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Khelodhunita Kedaya Vishadaya Pronmila Damodaya Samyat Shastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chittarpiton Madaya Shashwat Bhakti Vinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya Sri Chaitanya Dayanide Tavadaya Bhuyat Amandodaya. So there's a prayer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. Samyak Shastra Vivadaya. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. And your auspicious mercy pours forth the transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. And may transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. So in this verse also there's another word, avabodha rasa. So avabodha rasa. So in the prayers of the Vedas personified, 10th canto, 87th chapter, 25th shloka. The personality of Godhead is called as avabodha rasa. That means the infinite reservoir of unfailing vision. To those who depend on him with absolute conviction, the Lord grants the divine eye of knowledge. Other people following their own speculative theories, they must grope for the truth through the obscuring curtain of Maya. So Avabodha Rasa comes in that particular shloka. So Krishna is called as Avabodha Rasa, the infinite reservoir of unfailing vision. In another place in the third canto, ninth chapter, in Brahmaji's prayer, 3.9.2, the same Avabodha Rasa word comes. Rupam yadetat avabodha rasodayena. That means, by your mercy to the devotees, by your chit shakti, you have shown at the beginning this form which is eternally devoid of Maya. Avabodha rasa refers to Rasodayana means by your chit shakti, by your Swarupa shakti, you have revealed your form which is eternally freed from Maya. So here, this verse actually shows the position of Utkala, how he had actually attained the liberated platform. So, the same liberated platform is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samassarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Hmm. So, at such a liberated platform, a person has an equal vision, samassarveshu bhuteshu, and he neither laments nor hankers for something. In that state, he achieves pure devotional service unto me. And this liberated state is also described in the Chaitanya Shikshashtaka, first verse. The liberated state can be obtained simply by performing Harinam Sankirtanam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. So, in the Bhakti Yoga system, the chanting of the holy name is the foremost performance. By chanting, one can attain the perfection of nirvana, liberation from material existence, and so increase one's blissful life of spiritual existence as described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Anandam Buddhi Vardhana. So, Prabhupada is simplifying that what is described in this shloka as the state of Utkala, the same state can be obtained simply by chanting the holy names. So, and when a person becomes purified, one no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne or even a sovereignty over the whole planet. So, the more one makes advancement, the more one becomes detached from material opulence. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chahed Akaitukam. Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Deyinah Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Drishtva Nivartate. When a person tastes the superior taste of Bhakti Rasa, one becomes freed from all the material desires. So, by advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is considered to be like a blazing fire, all the material desires are burned to ashes. Your devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Person at every step of his life. Every conditioned life is full of the reactions of his past life, but all dirty things are immediately burned to ashes if one simply executes devotional service. Next shloka further describes Jadand Badironmatta
Jadand Badironmatta
Mukha Kritiratanmatihi
Muka Pratiratanmatihi
Lakshitapati Bhalanam
Lakshita Patipalanam
Prashantarchirivanalaha.
Prashantar Chirivanalaha. Translation. Utkal appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes without blazing flames.
So Utkala, how did he appear to the people in general? Jadanda. Uh, so to the unintelligent people, especially to the unintelligent people, he appeared to be like a mentally retarded person, Jada, as a blind person, Anda, Badira as a deaf person, and as a mad person, Unmatta, and Mooka as a dumb person, although he was actually not. Uh, So Lakshita Patibalanam Prashantarchirivanalaha. He was like a fire with the extinguished flames, or fire covered by the smoke, fire with the extinguished flames. Hmm. So in the 11th canto, Krishna describes about the 24 gurus. Krishna describes to Uddhava, in that he actually narrates a conversation which happened between the Avanti Brahmana and Nimi Maharaj. So in that the 24 gurus are mentioned. So one of the guru is actually fire. So from the fire, uh, two lessons about the nature of a saintly person are mentioned from the fire. So it is described that this is 11.7.46. Kvachit channa kvachit spashta upasya shreya ichchatam भुङ्क्ते सर्वत्र दातॄणां दहन प्राग uttara shubham. A saintly person is just like a fire, sometimes appears in a concealed form, and at other times he reveals himself. Like fire, sometimes in a concealed, sometimes it reveals itself. And saintly person is worshipped by those desiring the highest benefit, and like a fire, he burns to ashes all the past and future sinful reactions of his worshippers by mercifully accepting their offerings. Huh. So a saintly person is compared to a fire because a saintly person prefers to conceal his exalted spiritual position. But to instruct the suffering people of the world, sometimes he reveals his own greatness. This is compared to a fire that sometimes burns unnoticed beneath ashes and sometimes blazes openly. So, although an ordinary person immediately becomes puffed up and foolish when he is praised, but such inauspicious tendencies within a saintly person are burned to ashes by his attachment to the absolute truth. So, therefore, saintly person is just like a fire. So, just as fire devours the ghee and other firewood which is supplied to it, similarly, a saintly person accepts the praise offered by his conditioned followers, knowing that all praise is meant for the Supreme Lord Krishna. So the point is that a truly saintly person, he actually conceals himself. He does not reveal his exalted position. Only when there is an opportunity for service, some that time he may reveal his exalted position. Jada Bharat was also behaving like that. But when there was an opportunity to speak to Rahuguna, then he gave transcendental knowledge. When Chitraketu Maharaj was instructed by Narada Muni and Angira Rishi came to instruct him. After hearing the instructions of Narada and Angira, Chitraketu Maharaj said that you both have come here dressed like a Avaduta, liberated person, just to cover your identities. But I see that of all men, you are the most elevated in awareness. You know everything as it is, therefore, you are the greatest of all great personalities. So, in that way, here Utkala, he concealed his identity. He appeared like a mad, dumb, and deaf person. So, Prabhupada's purport. So, in order to avoid contradiction, botheration, and unfavorable situations created by materialistic persons, great saintly person like Jadabharata or Utkal remain silent. The less intelligent consider such people to be mad, deaf, etc. But factually, an advanced devotee avoids speaking with persons who are not in devotional life. But to those who are in devotional life, he speaks in friendship. Ishware tad adineshu balisheshu dushatsu cha prema maitri kripapeksha yak karoti sa madhyamah. The advanced devotee, he makes friendship, a Madhyamadikari makes friendship with the devotees, he avoids the envious. And he he shows his compassion to the innocent people. So for all practical purposes, the whole world is full of non-devotees. And so one kind of very advanced devotee is a Bhajananandi. So Utkala was like a Bhajananandi who was just absorbed in his remembrance of the Supreme Lord. So Bhajananandi is a great exalted devotee. Another kind of exalted devotee is a Goshtyanandi. So they preach to increase the number of devotees. So once Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said that the best Goshtyanandi is the Bhajananandi who preaches. A Bhajananandi who is absorbed in the bhajan towards Krishna, when he preaches, such a person becomes the best Goshtyanandi. He can really transform people. But even such Goshtyanandis, they avoid envious people. Next shloka. Matvatam jadamunmattam
मत्वा त्वं जडमुन्मत्तं
kulavruddha samantrinah
कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः
vatsaram bhupatim chakrur
वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर्
yaviyam sambrame sutam.
यवीयान् सम्भ्रमे सुतम्. For this reason, the ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and, in fact, mad. Thus, his younger brother, named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, was elevated to the royal throne and he became king of the world.
So we see, because Utkala's disposition was like this, as described in the previous shloka, therefore the younger brother Vatsala was appointed. thinking that Utkala was retarded or mad, Jadam Unmattam. Kula Vruddha, the elders of the dynasty, along with the ministers, Samantrinah, they appointed Vatsara as the king. Vatsara is the son of Brahmi. Dhruva Maharaj had two wives. Vatsara is the son of Brahmi. So here we see sometimes people criticize monarchy. In monarchy, only the king's son can become the king. So monarchy is not autocracy. So there were, we see that senior people, they would sometimes make changes. They would see who is qualified, and then when the eldest son is not qualified, they would appoint the younger brother as the king. So like, but even in the current times, there is like a family politics go on. In Tamil Nadu, although the son of the chief minister is much younger, he's hardly experienced, but he's made as the deputy chief minister just because he's coming in the family. Huh. And they will criticize other, like that. So many examples, Gandhi family. Huh. So there were senior family members and ministers who could make changes and elect the proper person to the throne. Although the throne could be occupied only by the royal family. See, in modern days also, wherever there is monarchy, sometimes the ministers select one member from the royal family to occupy the throne in preference to the another. That means they would see the qualification of a person. So, so one extreme is that consult everyone's opinions without any final authority. Just like the modern day democracy. Everyone's opinion is consulted. And most of the people don't have the thinking capacity. In Tamil Nadu, for the Pongal, every family is given 3,000 rupees. And then before the election, 2,000 would be given. So based on the amount, they are going to put vote actually. Another extreme is that one leader said that I give full freedom to everyone to discuss and consult, and then I tell them what to do. That means he doesn't give any freedom to actually make a decision. I just give them the feeling to, I just give them the freedom to discuss, but I make the decision. So one extreme is consult everyone's opinion. And then by consulting everyone's opinion, sometimes a donkey is declared as a horse. Unqualified person is selected as the chief minister, prime minister. So we see that here, because Utkala had such a disposition, therefore Vatsara, the younger brother, is selected as the king. So Prabhupada, yeah, he talks about this. So last shloka. So now in the next 9 shlokas, 12th shloka to 28th shloka, the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj from Vatsara till Anga Maharaj and Prithu is described. I'll read. स्वर्वीतिर्वत्सरस्येष्टा भार्या सूतषडात्मजान् पुष्पार्णं तिग्मकेतुं च इषमूर्जं वसुं जयम्. So Vatsara had a dear wife whose name was Swarviti, and she gave birth to 6 sons: Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jaya. So Vatsara's wife is called as Ishta, which means worshipable. That means she had all the good qualities. She was always faithful and obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all the good qualities for managing household affairs. If both the husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth, and thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. Pushparnasya prabha bharya dosha cha dve babuvatuhu प्रातर् माद्यन्दिनं सायम् इति ह्यासन् प्रभासुताः. Pushparna had two wives named Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had three sons named Pratar, Madhyandinam, and Sayam. Morning, afternoon, and evening. Pradosho Nishito Vyushta iti dosha sutastrayah. Vyushta sutam pushkarinyam sarva teja samadade. So, Dosha had three wives, Pradosha, Nishita, and Vyushta. And Vyushta's wife was named Pushkarini, and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. Then further, Sarvateja's wife Akuti gave birth to a son named Chakshusha, who became the Chakshusha Manu in the 6th Manvantara. Nadvala, the wife of Chakshusha Manu, gave birth to the following faultless sons: Puru, Kutsa, Trita, Jumna, Satyavan, Rita, Vrata, Agnishtoma, Atiratra, Pradyumna, Shibi, and Ulmuka. Of the 12 sons, Ulmuka begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkarini. They were all very good sons, and their names were Anga, Sumana, Khyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya. So now, with this shloka, we'll end. Sunitangasya yapatni sushuve vena mulbanam yadhau shilyat sa rajarshir nirvinno niragat purat. The wife of Anga, Sunita, gave birth to a son named Vena, who was Ati Ulbanam, who was very crooked. The saintly king Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest. Further, it will be described. We'll continue that in the next week. So this Angamara story, based on this, Vidura would ask a question, and then the further discussion will continue. Very beautiful story of Anga Maharaj and Vena. We'll take it in the next week. If anybody has any questions, let's see.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. We'll end here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.